Because, Ian, you kind of had the wool pulled from your eyes when you were, what, in your mid-50s, 54?
54, I was 54 when I found out.
And what was your story?
Well, my story was, one day I got a call from I found out later, my adopted mother, that she wanted me to go up to the flat, up to her apartment, as they call them these days, because she had something to tell me, and she was in tears. And my wife and I thought that she'd been given bad news from the doctor. Anyway, we got up there, she opened the door, and all she could blurt out to me was, "Ian, you were adopted." And I went cold. I really, quite literally, my head went cold, and I just held on to staying conscious. I nearly passed out. And my life from that moment on, I didn't think, if anyone had told me that it would affect me the way it affected me, I wouldn't have believed it. I would have just said, well, gosh, I was chosen. They chose me to be their child. How fortunate I was. It doesn't work like that. That happens much, much, much later, and you appreciate it much later. I didn't appreciate it, unfortunately, until my adopted parents were dead. But I went down the gurgler. I had an enormous mental breakdown, and
What was at the crux of that? Was it the fact that you were adopted, or that the world you've known for 54 years was suddenly turned upside down?
That my whole life up to that time had been a total lie. Right, yeah. Yes. And
so the length of time you keep a secret for is really germane to this.
It's terribly important. I mean, everyone around me, my entire life, while I was growing up, even my cousins and people I played with as a kid, they all knew. They all knew that I wasn't part of the family. And, you know, later on in life, you know, it's like an old joke, isn't it? At 54, I found out I had two half-brothers, so they took the chainsaw off me. It's... But it's a huge... I've got two half-sisters out there somewhere. I don't want to know. I don't want to know. I know they're there, but that's it. I'm not interested. So...
Where have you ended up through all of this? Have you met your birth mother?
I went out and met my birth mother. She turned out to be 14 years older than me. And that was the whole point. I was the result of a pedophile rape. And so, you know, welcome to the world, Ian. But my biological mother, I went to an organisation in Australia called Vanish, Victims of Adoption or something. I can't remember what it means. And I sat down, and I slightly disagree with this. Within half an hour, I knew who she was, where she lived, what her marital status was, how many children she had, everything. I knew everything about her. And I sort of don't agree with that, because I could have been a psychopathic ratbag. I could have wanted revenge or something, you know. But they suggested that I write a letter to her, and I did. I wrote a letter that night, because when I immediately found out, I didn't want to have anything, I didn't want to know. But after a month or two, natural curiosity took over, you know. It's my life, my blood. So I wrote the letter, I sent it. I think I posted it on the Wednesday night, and I said to Gail, my wife, well, if we hear from her at all, I guess we'll have to give her a couple of weeks or a couple of months to think it over. Something like 10 o'clock the next morning, she rang, and I discovered that she lived around about a 15-minute car drive from me. So I got in that car, and it was the longest trip I've ever taken in my life. I got there, I got out of the car, I closed the door, I heard the front door closing behind me, and I thought, my God, I'm going to turn around and see my mother for the first time in my life.
What a shock for her as well, Ian.
Yes, yes.
Given also who you are.
Well, she didn't know that, and that was a bonus. She'd seen me in theatre many years, but she wasn't a television viewer.
Tell me about, because we're talking about family secrets, and we've had, and I'm very mindful of, we did this, well, I don't know, 6 months ago. We had a young man on who'd been in a very similar position. He found out when he was like 19, 20, and he was extremely angry about things. What are your feelings about what your adopted mother did in terms of not telling you? Presumably she was doing it for your own good.
She was doing it because my adopted father had told her that's the way it had to be. Because he... Oh, hate to say this, but he was a reasonably simple, stroke, stupid man. Things were very, very, very simple in his life, but to his honor and to my detriment, he gave his word about something. That was it. He gave his word. And on the handover, he gave his word that I would never, ever be told. And you see, I went through, which I mean, I admire that up to a point. But there was a time when I was having health problems. And of course, you sit down and your doctor says to you, is there any so-and-so in your family? Is there any so-and-so in your family? So I came home and I said, hey, Mum, Dad, do we have any of this problem in our family in the past? And I remember now, my memory serves me that my mother sort of iced up. But he answered, no, 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 no. He couldn't tell me much about his family because he also was adopted. So that was wrong, and that was terribly wrong.
Do you think, I mean, as I said, talking about secrets, I mean, that is about as big a secret as could be kept from a human being. Do you think it's always better for relatives to be kept informed about what's going on, that things are better out in the open than even relatively trivial, you know, grandpa was a porn star? Why shouldn't children know at some point?
And as soon as possible.
And as soon as possible.
As soon as possible. Too much damage happens. I mean, I suffer deep depression and deep anxiety, and I'm still on medication for all of those things. Gosh. And it was triggered. It may have happened anyway, I don't know.
Yeah.
But it was triggered, certainly, at that time, and I went nuts.
Okay. Really pleased you talked about it, because I know you wanted to as well. Let's throw it open to you guys and find out what you think about family secrets, whether they should ever be told.